Previously on the Sugar Baby Confessionals.
That's what a sugar baby is. Somebody who's expecting some kind of monetary assistance in exchange for spending time with the sugar daddy or sugar mama. There are very, very few people in this world who know. Compersion is that sense of joy you feel when your partner is fulfilled, particularly in a sexual sense. Hot wiving is essentially it's a sexual fetish where the wife sleeps with other men. He is in his mid-40s, married guy. He told me that his wife said to him, "I think you're the only man in the world who likes to go down on a woman, and I'm the only woman in the world who doesn't enjoy it."
Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root, and the bud of the bud, and the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than the soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. Those words are from E. E. Cummings in his poem, I Carry Your Heart With Me, arguably one of the most beautiful love poems ever written. It's hard to imagine a poem like that being written about the sort of adulterous relationships that the sugar babies have. I mean, there are thousands of words written and recorded in song lyrics about love and breaking up, almost all based on the concept of remaining true, or not, to one person. How about this? Of man's first disobedience, and the fruit of that forbidden tree, whose mortal taste brought death into the world, and all our woe. That's John Milton's Paradise Lost. He's talking about the fall and eventual redemption of mankind. Also, ultimately, Milton champions the absolute freedom of individual choice. He says, "To the pure, all things are pure. To the impure, all things are impure." But is it that simple? Are relationships either pure or impure? Modern songwriters get a lot of mileage out of breakup songs, with lyrics that rely on the fact that sleeping with someone outside of a relationship is destructive. I mean, where would we be if the concept of staying true to one person wasn't embedded in our society? What would our favorite novels and movies be like if being faithful to one person wasn't the norm? Put simply, what is special about your lover if you have plenty of others on the side? I have to admit that as a die-hard romantic, it's tough for me to understand how Ruby and our new sugar baby Madeleine can be okay with sharing their partners and giving themselves so freely. Well, except for the free part, that is.
Hello, Esty. It's nice to talk to you again.
Hello, Ruby. It's always a pleasure. So, Ruby, you had your very first sugar daddy experience last week. Please tell us about it.
Okay, so I met Mankini, as I very lovingly refer to him as, in a hotel. And unfortunately, it was very bad weather, so I was running a bit late because traffic was just a lot slower in the rain. And I was kind of nervous about that because, essentially he's paying me for my time, my companionship. But thankfully he was very cool about it. It's not like I was like an hour late, but punctuality is very important to me. So, he was very relaxed, met me in the lobby of the hotel, and we walked up to the room together. And I could tell he was really nervous. I mean, of course I was too, but he was like shaking. He was so nervous. And the room was really lovely. It was a beautiful hotel, very clean, very modern, nice big comfy bed. And when I walked through the door, I immediately noticed that there was a bottle of champagne chilling on this desk with a big fat white envelope and my favorite kind of chocolate on top. And I just looked at that scene and I was like, yes, thank you, score. Yeah, so we chatted for a couple of minutes as he popped the bottle of bubbly and poured for us, and we kissed each other. He's a pretty good kisser.
Really?
Nothing that... Yeah.
Was it awkward or anything like that?
Or... No. Didn't feel awkward. I could tell that he was nervous, but it wasn't awkward in the sense that, we banged foreheads and then started,
Got your braces tangled up.
No. I have to say, in terms of that, things did flow fairly well, which is good. He's really tall, and I happen to not be such a tall person, so I kind of climbed up on the bed so that I could reach him a little easier, which is cool. And then, and then one thing led to another, and started undressing each other and getting into it. He kind of calmed down a little. He wasn't shaking anymore, but I think through the entire time we were together, except maybe at the very end, he was nervous. I would say that it was a really nice experience. Unfortunately for Mankini, more so than me, he could not keep it up. Yeah, that was a little weird. I don't really take that kind of thing personally. I know a lot of men, particularly if they're older. I mean, I think he's not that old. He's like 43. But still, the older you get, the harder it is to keep hard. Sorry, that was a bad pun. And yeah, so he kind of laughed it off and blamed it on nerves and some new blood pressure medication that he was taking. I'm like, it's okay, don't worry, it's not a big deal. But I think, the experience obviously wasn't as satisfying for either one of us as it probably could have been because of that.
Yeah. So you didn't end up going all the way.
All the way. Yeah, didn't happen.
Second base.
And so when I'm laying on the bed, this big man is on top of me, and he's not hard, and he's trying by all means to get himself there, and it's just not happening. And Madeleine's story just popped into my brain.
Madeleine is the second sugar baby we'll be speaking to. She lives on another continent, so our upcoming conversation takes place in 3 different time zones on opposite ends of the planet. Hence the poor sound quality. Sorry about that. Anyway, back to Ruby's story.
And I was biting my lip, biting, like, please, at this moment, do not laugh, do not laugh. This is the worst time for you to possibly laugh, don't do it. Thankfully, I held it in, I kept my cool, but yeah, that was a real touch and go moment right there. I think that would have been the end of Ruby and Mankini if I started laughing right there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So in this position, he kept draping his hand over my forehead, and his pinky and his ring finger would droop down and kind of cover my eyes. It was really weird. I mean, I didn't feel fearful or anything. It's not like he was trying to cover my face, or it was nothing like that. In fact, I don't think that he was doing it on purpose. It felt like a very natural kind of oh, my hand has just fallen here. But it was just such a weird place for your hand to just happen to fall.
Yeah.
And I kept blowing on it, if you have a lock of hair over your eye, and you're I kept on trying to blow his hand off of my face. And it was, and then eventually I just took my hand and I picked his hand up and I moved it.
Yeah.
And I think he was just so focused on other things, eventually the hand would just drift back there onto my head, down onto my forehead, fingers over my eyes, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Do you think that he was trying to cover your eyes for some reason? Maybe he felt self-conscious, or...
I think this was a subconscious thing, so maybe that's what it was, but, I mean, from my perspective, it was really funny.
Ruby tells me Madeleine's been texting her funny stories, and she was scared she was going to laugh in the middle of being with Mankini.
I'm so happy that I was able to keep my cool through the entire thing.
Wow.
But,
yeah.
Yeah.
I applaud you for that, because if I get giggles, it's just, and I cry and everything. It's not pretty. It's not pretty at all.
Well, what I was really mindful of the entire time that I was there, from the moment that I saw him and we met in the lobby, straight through when, we kissed goodbye for the last time and he walked out of that room, I was very mindful of the fact that he's paying me for my time. He's paying me to make him feel good about himself. And yes, that obviously, for this guy at least, involves physical, touch and activity and whatever. But it's a lot more than that. I think it's actually mostly a psychological thing. So in those moments when I was, being tickled by the giggle bug, if you will. That's actually the thing that kind of popped into my mind and stopped me. I thought, I don't want to hurt him.
No, yeah.
You know, I would never want to hurt this person. He's such a sweet person. You know, he's such a respectful, very caring individual. And, you know, obviously I wasn't laughing at him, but he wouldn't know that, even if I, you know, told him the truth and like, oh no, but this is what's in my mind, you know? It's like,
So
you're not going to get over that.
this Mankini is the one that had the wife who didn't have a very high libido. Is that right?
Yeah, to put it mildly, yes.
Yeah,
So he is married. He has one youngest child that he's very close to and spends a lot of time with, which I find very appealing in a man.
So it's conceivable that he, you know, obviously has a very low self-esteem because of that. If your partner, you know, the person who you sort of love and trust the most, is kind of, I mean, I know that it's not about rejection because some people just have a low libido and it's, you know, it's just something that, you know, it's hormones, that kind of thing. But it can really eat away at a person's sort of self-confidence. And I guess I definitely have the impression that, you know, the whole getting an erection thing can obviously be affected by confidence.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, this guy was just dying for some TLC. Something that I find really fascinating about myself, having started this process of like looking for a sugar daddy, you know, having little coffee dates with these people, determining like who do I want to see again, so on and so forth. Just the whole process. I see people so differently now than I used to. It's like every single person I meet, man or woman, actually, whether I find them attractive or not, I look at them now and I see them as a sexual being, you know, and I kind of wonder about it. I wonder, like, is this, like, are you sexually fulfilled? Have you found that partner that's going to do it for you? It's like, it's this whole huge facet of every person's life, and yet we almost never talk about it. It's something for closed doors only with such a limited number of people, or perhaps even just one person, depending on how, you know, kind of conservative you are. But yet it actually, it makes up so much of who we are as humans. I'll be walking through the grocery store and turn down an aisle and there will be this like 50-something, like kind of pudgy soccer mom-esque woman who has like a haircut from 1992 that she's still sporting, and not someone that I would immediately think of as
she's the worst.
Sexual.
She's the dirtiest, man. She's got whips and chains.
Yeah, she probably is. But my point is now I look at her and I'm just like, huh, are you a dirty birdie? You know?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder what gets you off. I wonder, you know, are those boxes being ticked?
We've always kind of talked about around these things, certainly, but not as openly as this, I guess. Many people don't actually talk honestly with their own partners because they don't know how to. They don't have the tools to. And it's so wrapped up in self-confidence and self-worth. And they don't really know what to ask for. They don't know how to ask for what they want.
You inspire.
I think it's amazing that you and your favorite person can be so open.
Yeah, you know, interesting, SD. I don't know if you want to discuss it now or sometime in the future, but this past week, favorite person has gone out on 2 dates with 2 different people.
Is
I know.
this unusual?
It is unusual. I mean, he has had experiences with other women before, but those were always kind of like in the moment, very spontaneous, you know, the stars happened to align on this night and like boom, there you go. So this was the first time that he met these people online.
Right.
So it was the first time that it was kind of a premeditated, if you will, rendezvous.
So is there a sugar mama site that he's on?
No.
So was it like just a dating site or?
Yeah, just kind of like a dating site. But he's very honest, obviously, you know, and anyone that he starts talking to knows that he's married and understands like what our relationship is like, and what the expectations are, just like me, just puts it out there. And yeah, and it just, it's funny. It's kind of like when it rains, it pours, because for quite a long time, he was starting to feel a bit down because finding someone is very tricky. I think particularly if you're a man. I mean, if you're like a halfway decent looking woman, you could like open your window, throw stone outside, and probably hit a man who will fuck you. But, men, it's not so easy.
Do you think that is because women are a lot more geared towards finding a partner and someone who's going to be more open to monogamous relationship? I mean, I would imagine that you are quite unusual, you and Madeleine, in that you sort of are open to these kind of relationships.
Yeah, I think if I really studied it.
I have put Ruby on the spot here. I mean, she's never claimed to be an expert on evolutionary science. Still, she has a pretty good crack at an explanation.
I think it probably boils down to evolution. Women kind of have always been the gatekeepers because we're the ones who fall pregnant with children. And only so many babies that you can have in a lifetime. And so we as a gender within our species have to be quite selective about, who we're going to allow to possibly do that to us in a sense, and obviously there's, it's a lot more complicated than that, and you have culture and society layering things on top, but I think at the very root of it, if you look from a very physiological standpoint, that would be my guess. Whereas men, I mean, they just want to drop their seeds all over the place, don't they?
I asked Ruby how she feels about favorite person going on dates. Does she feel jealous, angry, resentful? Happy?
I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy that he's sharing the kind of experiences I've been having. Yeah, so the first night that he had a double header, right? So he went out one night, and then the very next night he had a second date with a different person. And the first night, he asked me, as he was getting ready for the date, are you feeling jealous at all? What's going on in your mind? And I said, no, not at all. I'm just really excited. I hope it goes well for you. That I was flooded with that sense of compersion. We've talked about compersion before. So that was really the overwhelming feeling that I had about the night and what his experience was hopefully going to be. He was out for a number of hours. They shared a dinner together, and I was fine. Not an issue whatsoever. And when he came home and he told me everything that they'd gotten up to and everything that had happened, I was very relaxed. And I think one of the reasons I was particularly chill about him seeing this woman is because I know she's very different from me. She's considerably younger, like young, not legal. She's legal.
Good.
but very, very, like almost just barely legal, let's say. The second night was a little bit more difficult for me. Not bad, but the woman that he met the second night is a lot more like me. I wouldn't say that we're the same, but she's older than the first one. Not quite. Still younger than he is, but, she's very well-read, well-traveled, well-written, dry sense of humor, like all of these things that I know he really enjoys about me. So that felt a little bit more like, ooh, like we're starting to touch a soft spot here. But I think I handled it well. One of the things that favorite person and I talked about after he came home from that date, and he described everything to me, and he had an amazing time.
This is the bit I find really hard to swallow. I mean, if my husband came back from a date with another woman telling me how amazing it was, I'd feel ridden with jealousy. I certainly wouldn't be able to laugh it off. Does that mean I wouldn't be able to feel compersion for him? I want him to be fulfilled sexually. I just don't think I could handle it being with somebody else.
He really likes this person, the second date that he went out on. And in fact, they're going to see each other again next week.
Right.
So one of the things that we spoke about is that when one of us is home and the other person is out, the thing that helps keep you grounded when you're the one who's at home and you're just sitting around and you're just waiting and you don't know what your partner's doing, you don't know what they're saying, You don't know what the other person is like, right? And that can kind of drive you crazy. I mean, even for someone such as myself, who is probably overconfident and very secure in herself, you still have those little moments of like, like, oi, that's uncomfortable. And the thing that both he and I come back to is, how would I want to be treated?
Yeah.
So when I am out with a date and I'm having a fun time, and I send, favorite person a text or two just to let him know I'm okay, but I'm not chatty, obviously, because I'm giving my attention to someone else. And then I come home and I'm interacting with favorite person again. How do I want to be treated in that scenario? Do I want to be confronted with someone who's like all aggro and jealous and, up in my grill about like, well, what did you do? What did you say? I mean, that's obviously not going to work. So I think that for each of us, we're getting really good at keeping the other person first and foremost in your mind, and like, how do they want to be treated? They want to be trusted. They want to be respected. They want to be loved.
What sort of methods do you have in place? I mean, even just communication tools. Say you're in a bad mood that day, and maybe it's not about your favorite person and his date, but maybe for some reason you just feel a bit uncomfortable. How do you address these things?
Well, for me, my love language is words of affirmation. And so I have gotten very good at kind of observing myself and being able to tell if I need some, encouragement, or the word is like escaping me at the moment. If I need my love tank to be filled, then I'll just come out and say it. I will ask him straight up, tell me something you love about me. Say out loud that you will always prefer me over this person. I need to hear it. I'm a verbal person. I need the words, and he's happy to do that for me. And I think on the flip side, his love language is quality time. And that's something I'm always very mindful of. We have date night once a week. And I've made it clear to all of my potential sugar daddies that Friday night is Ruby's night for her husband. That is a sacred space for us, and I will never be available. And he really appreciates that. So making the time for him is something that I do, hopefully on a daily basis, but certainly on a weekly basis.
This is where the new sugar baby, Madeleine, joins us.
Hello?
Hello. Hi.
How are you, sweetie?
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Totally awesome.
We crack right on.
How did you first get started as a sugar baby?
Well, I'm going to blame Ruby.
You'll wind up blaming me for a lot on this podcast.
No, that's absolutely not true. And to be quite honest, Ruby and I have known each other for a very long time.
Long time.
And if anything, she should probably blame me for any bad influence in her life. Because I was definitely an early bloomer, so that I should blame for sort of everything on.
I'm interested in why Madeleine blames her burgeoning sexuality or early development on her becoming a sugar baby. But I don't know her very well yet, and I don't want to push her into something too personal at this early stage. So I just ask her when she and Ruby met.
4th grade, baby.
5th grade.
5th grade? Okay, 5th grade. Yeah. There you go. So we've been friends for the majority of our lives at this point. Yeah.
And when we celebrate our 20-year anniversary 2 years ago?
Wow.
No, I think it was our 25th.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 25th anniversary.
Shut up, I was trying to make us younger.
Oh, sorry.
You said that you'd always sort of felt drawn to this lifestyle.
First of all, I definitely agree with the people who make the sentiment that everyone pays for sex one way or the other. I mean that male or female, it really doesn't matter. You're paying for something in money, in time. There's always a give and take. It really doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes you want to give it and sometimes you don't. So there's that sort of philosophy. In my country, the concept of prostitution is illegal, and I think that's just stupid. But we can talk about that at a later time.
Yeah.
And the idea that we have this very strong concept of monogamy and morality, and it's a very family values nation that buys everything based on sex. It's just silly. So I have a man in my life who drives me crazy every day. And
Crazy like a fox. Sorry. I had to.
oh, crazy like
So this
fucking
is-
idiot. But that's beside the point.
This is the Marquis that you're talking about,
Yeah.
right? And you've named him after the Marquis de Sade. Why?
Because he's torturing me today.
In what way? Are we talking
I'm-
about, actual... I mean, I think we have to be quite specific in these conversations because...
No, it's definitely emotional and mental torture. It's not physical torture. He's
Right.
not into that.
The Marquis isn't exactly a sugar daddy per se, but his and Madeleine's relationship bears so many similarities to the sugar daddy construct that I think we should include him. For example, although he doesn't pay her, he is her boss in the organization they work for, and so is in a position of power over her economically. Yep, I know, complicated stuff. He has a wife who doesn't know about Madeleine, though she appears to have given tacit permission for him to get his rocks off elsewhere. On the other hand, it is far from a straightforward transaction like Ruby's extramarital assignations. They don't seem to have set the boundaries for their relationship, which makes me uneasy. Then again, some people could argue that if it's just about the money, pretty much anyone becomes a sugar daddy as soon as they're supporting someone with cash or gifts. When you start looking at it like that, the debate gets a whole lot more murky. But that's a discussion for another episode.
So I have this man in my life. He's married for 25 years. He has a very, very high sex drive. And his wife, for whatever reason, whether it's that she's gone through menopause and her hormonal levels have changed, or, they've just been together for a long time and she doesn't pine for him the way that she used to, or whatever, she's only interested in having sex with him once a month, roughly. And she may or may not, and I don't know, maybe doing that out of obligation. I have no idea. But he's 53 and he's gorgeous.
Yeah, seriously, I've seen a picture and I'm just like, nah, I don't believe it. I don't believe he's 53.
He's
You lie.
really good in bed, but he also has these erotic predilections where he wants to be with multiple partners. He wants to watch his partner with other people. He wants to hear about his partner with other people. And okay, that sounds great to me. Why not? So it's sort of gone from me like going on dates with just regular people to us hooking up with people through swing lifestyle sites, to Ruby saying to me, well, if you're going to do this, well, why wouldn't you just get paid for it? Well,
Hello, yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Your partner that you already had as a boyfriend, I'm assuming, decided that he wanted to see you with other people, and then you just went through this came at it from a different angle than Ruby did. And how has it been working for you?
Prior to the whole sugar baby concept, it was fun. It was sort of, when you found somebody that was cool. We hadn't really had anybody that was not cool that we actually met and hooked up with. I am really particular about weeding people out. He's not. He's like, you know what, let's just fuck everybody. Like, no. But it takes a lot of work because you got to really read into people and see what they're about. The sugar baby business has been great in the last month. I'm $700 shy of doubling my net.
That's so cool, man.
Explain that. I missed that. You $700 shy of
Doubling my net income for the month.
I see. Sorry, yeah.
So,
just to be clear, are you in love with the Marquis?
I am in love with the Marquis, and that's a real problem for me. But yes, to answer your question, yes, I am in love with the Marquis.
I would imagine that has its own host of complications.
It doesn't appear to be complicated for him.
Yeah.
And it doesn't complicate the sugar daddy business.
Right, of course.
I'm pretty particular about who I'm meeting. For the most part, I'm sort of angling for men who are specifically married, who are not looking for somebody who wants just one person who will say, you can't see anybody other than me.
Right, exclusivity.
Yeah, and that's worked out pretty well.
The Marquis likes to watch, if that's his thing, and he gets off on you being with other people. do these sugar daddies go into it knowing that, do you ever say, well, do you mind if my partner hides in the cupboard and looks at the keyhole?
It totally depends. I've had one offer to pay to have a threesome with him, but I knew that I could mention that. Like, I knew that I could bring that possibility up with him because of his history. He had explained to me that in his past, he and his wife, they had been involved in like a swing lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And since she had kids, she's not interested in that anymore. And so like I explained to him that, we had done that also and that this is what we had done. And he that piqued his interest. He explained to me what, he might want to be involved in and that could we make time for that? Well, yeah, okay, let me check with him. And that would, I didn't even need to check with him, but I knew I don't like to speak for him. So it depends on the guy. And I try to be very good about listening to what people want. And I don't know how Ruby feels about this because we haven't talked about it, but it's therapy. It's listening to what people, what their problems are, what their needs are, what it is they're lacking at home. Because if a guy wants to see you once a week and talk to you for 2 hours and have nothing to do with you sexually and pay you for it, that's what you're gonna do.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I haven't met someone who that's their thing, but I completely agree.
Our theme is love today. I mean, very loosely, all these themes are very loose, but I guess it's a form of love just to listen or just to really hear what someone wants and give that to them. I mean, that's actually a huge luxury if you think about it. And I guess there's many people who find that luxury worth paying for.
I mean, you can look at the money as just this is a transactional thing, or you could look at the money as a form of love as well. It kind of goes back to what Madeleine said earlier about how everybody pays for sex one way or another. You might pay with time, you might pay with money, you might pay with emotion, so on and so forth. I mean, I think so much of it has to do with the intention behind it.
Right.
I mean, I can go out on a date with a sugar daddy and have such an awesome time and laugh my ass off and really enjoy myself with him. And, when he hands me that envelope, it's not him paying me for dirty sex. It's him saying, hey, I had a great time. You really helped me out. Here, I'm going to help you out. It's also a form of love if looked at in the right way.
There's loads of famous poems, beautiful, heartbreaking poems about, love and being true to someone, which is obviously the narrative that we've been kind of really socialized into. But do you think that it's time for this, in this day and age, for us to change that narrative and kind of adapt it and evolve it?
I think it depends on what it is that you want. I would say that for the marquee and for me, obviously, and probably for Ruby and her husband, we're not being untrue to each other.
Yeah, that word unfaithful doesn't apply at all to what I'm doing or what FP is doing.
Right.
We are 100% faithful to each other, 100% faithful.
It's the lack of, it's the hiding what you're doing that would make you unfaithful.
Right.
I'm 100% transparent in the things that I'm doing with the marquee, and I guess in my case it really doesn't matter if I am, but I am. And I know that Ruby is also.
I think it matters. It matters to the quality of your relationship with the marquee.
Especially if you love him.
Yeah.
And he loves you in a way. You sort of said you weren't sure, or are you sure?
I know that he loves me. I also know that it's not going to change the tone of our relationship. He will stay married, and I will stay not married to him.
How do you feel about that, though? Is that something that you struggle with?
Only recently, and only because it's become very muddy. It has always been that he's never leaving his wife, and I was okay with that. And then one day he was sort of distant and weird, and I was like, "What's your problem?" And he was like, "I can't leave my wife." And I was like, "Yeah, no one's asking you to." And he's like, "Yeah, but I've been thinking about it." And I'm like, "Sorry." It sort of became muddied at that point. And I was like, well, now it's weird for me.
Yeah.
But before that, it was sort of fine.
Ruby and her favorite person have very clearly defined sets of rules as to how they approach each other relationship before you joined us, just talking about how if issues start coming up, feelings start coming up that, are verging on jealousy or something like that, they have ways of getting what they need from the partner, which are quite clear and defined. Obviously, no one's perfect. I'm sure that there's times when, it's not always as easy as that. But do you have a similar sort of rules and boundaries with the Marquis?
Not exactly.
It sounds like the Marquis doesn't have any boundaries to overstep.
Yeah, you might say that. He has none. That's probably true. No, he does.
But he does. He does in relation to his wife, right? So I'm actually curious to know, like maybe it's implicit because the two of you just know each other so well that it doesn't need to be like said out loud. But what would you have to do in order for him to like be uncomfortable because you're overstepping a boundary that's messing with his marriage?
Oh, okay. Like I can't text his work phone during the evening or during the weekend. Like he has a phone that she doesn't know about. This is the weirdest thing. You and I have talked about this, but it's the weirdest thing in the world.
Once again, we're getting into uncomfortable territory here. I mean, if the Marquis's wife is so happy for him to have other relationships, then why does everything have to be such a big secret? I know not all the sugar babies' relationships are going to be above board with all parties, but it seems as though Madeleine sees their relationship as pretty honest. I mean, she even seems surprised that he can keep this secret from his wife.
I can text that all I want, anytime, day or night or whatever, but not the work phone. And, who the hell is this person texting you?
Right, of course, yeah.
I've been wondering, for either of you, do any of the sugar daddies' wives know about them? I mean, I know you guys go into it open-eyed and, your other partners know, but do you find that as a rule, most of the sugar daddies are upfront with their other halves about these activities, or is it mostly secretive, like with the Marquis?
Yeah, it varies so much. I'd say it's kind of half and half in the experience I've had so far. Half are doing this on the sly. The other half either have an open relationship or they're just honest with their, like they have a higher sex drive and the wife is like, well, listen, that's a need that I really am not interested in filling, even though we want to stay together. So go have your fun as long as you stay within these bounds. So it's just all over the place. I mean, Madeleine said it very succinctly. It just really depends on the guy.
This is something I wonder if the two sugar babies ever think about. Do they feel culpable at all? When it comes to taking on a relationship with someone who's not being honest with their partner, do they feel guilt? I mean, that might be my lapsed Catholicism talking. I feel guilty about almost everything. But when Ruby talks about her relationship with FP as being enlightened or even the next stage in the evolution of human relationships, I wonder if her or Madeleine think about the other person in the equation. The one who doesn't know what their partner's up to. The one who doesn't have a choice.
The one that suggested the threesome with the Marquis, like I said, he and his wife used to have this very open swinger type lifestyle, and now she just doesn't want that anymore. And he said, well, I still do. And she said, go find yourself somebody. And so she's aware of what it is, but also at the same time, she kind of said, they have a high profile life, and she said, don't embarrass me.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah, so discretion is huge.
Couldn't be a sugar baby if you had loose lips, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't. I don't think you'd be a very successful one. Let's put it that way.
But you have to adhere to that. You can't, like you were saying, you can't call the work phone, etc. And I guess, does that impact on where you go on your dates or anything like that? Does he have to be discreet in terms of, you can't go to a certain neighborhood or?
We don't go on dates. That's realistic of you. We don't go on dates. No. Our dates consist of going to work, because we work together, and going, hanging out at my house. The upside is he's a pretty good boss to have it.
The thing is, he's not really a good boss. Or, as is later clarified, he's actually her boss's boss. Phew. I mean, at least she doesn't work directly under him, so to speak.
This just makes the dynamic so much more complicated. If something didn't work out between you, or if something happened the previous night, does it ever bleed into your work life?
That's something, as Madeleine's friend, that's something I do worry about as well.
It's an issue. It's something that I worry about.
At this stage, I have to admit, I'm struggling to understand exactly what Madeleine sees in the Marquis. Maybe it'll become clearer as the weeks go on.
I love him. Like, as a person, I love him. He is not as sophisticated a thinker as the three people on this call are. No, I'm serious. That's true. So if we were to have that conversation and we've had it, his answer would be, so we stop having sex right now and we go back to being friends because your friendship is more important to me. And I'm like, you don't see how there are greater complications to that. Like, there's residual effects.
Yes, residual effects. This is exactly what I'm worried about when it comes to the psychological impact of being a sugar baby on these two women. Normally I'd be like, well, if you're comfortable with it, you're not hurting anyone, go ahead. But this is different. These two are my friends.
We just stop tomorrow and everything goes back to normal. Like, for him, that's how it is.
Do you think it would really be that way, though? I mean, people might say that, but it's this whole thing of, you understand that there will be residual things, and one day he would come knocking on the door, maybe, one would think, because, I mean, it sounds like you guys have a great relationship in terms of the sex, and does he really think that he wouldn't want to get back with you one night when he's kind of, itching for a...
Happen with that?
3 sheets to the wind?
Well, you're giving him something that no one else can give him, right? I mean,
well, not no one else can, but no one else is.
Well, I mean, no one else could be as understanding and loving about it and facilitate his needs to the extent that you can. Obviously,
well,
have been.
That part's probably... I'm not sure on that score really what he believes. I just know that he thinks that he can just shut it off, and I'm reasonably sure that that's not the case.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think human emotion works that way.
No.
Yes, it's not like a light switch or a faucet.
Have you ever been tempted to sort of take him up on that and be like, yeah, you think you're gonna be able to just switch it off? Fine. Let's switch it off and see what happens.
Oh, on more than one occasion. We've made that effort before. It doesn't really work. Certainly doesn't work for me. I've looked for other jobs before, and if something pops up, I'll probably take it because it's not a situation.
Yeah.
But I actually don't dislike what I do.
Right.
And I really like my real boss. Kind of hoping he'll move me to Florida.
That would put a bit of a break on your relationship, or would it?
It would terminate it really at that point, and except for maybe a couple of times a year when I would come visit, we'd be done.
Right. So it sounds like there's a part of you that wants it to be finished.
No, there's a part of me that doesn't want my heart totally broken.
It's hard to know how to respond to this. The most obvious answer seems to be for Madeleine to get out of the situation. But when you're in love, nothing is obvious. In any case, she doesn't seem ready for that. To paraphrase a Brokeback Mountain quote, she just doesn't seem to know how to quit the Marquis.
Do you still date outside of all of this?
I haven't. I mean, it's only been a month, so I haven't really, but it's not that I wouldn't.
I meant outside of the Marquis as well. Do you look around for other relationship that might fulfill the needs that maybe Marquis isn't meeting?
It's not that I'm closed off to the idea.
I pressed Madeleine on this. I mean, why him? Why the Marquis? But all she says is that she's really picky, and that she can't seem to find anyone else that she's interested in.
Ruby was saying that she was really needing to give a lot of help, love, and affection to her very first sugar daddy, Mankini, when he had problems in the bedroom.
I'm sorry, that name just always makes me laugh. I should probably change it considering how our date went.
Apparently he struggled to, attain an erection, and she was thinking of a story that you told her, and it was almost making her laugh at the most inopportune moment that you can imagine. And so she promised you would tell us the story.
I have a similar experience. I was out with a sugar daddy, and
we call him Big Fish.
Sugar daddy number 2, Big Fish.
And his name is Big Fish because he's local to me. Very, very, very successful businessman. One of the most successful businessmen in my local area. We're at his house. One thing leads to another. And, man with the world at his feet, beautiful woman with him. And he cannot maintain an erection for anything. I have pulled out all the big guns.
So you mean the feather duster?
Yeah, like she did the swirl, she did the twirl, she did the somersaults, she did the twinkle toes.
Including, and ever since I've been doing this in front of men, it has worked every time. I got myself off in front of him, and they all enjoy that. Except this one, because it didn't involve him.
He has like the attention span of a fucking fly or something.
It didn't involve him, and in fact, when we were done, he made me feel like I didn't get off because he didn't do it.
Right.
So
okay.
that was, I was like, what? So in any case, this guy kind of thought that I should give him a blowjob until he could maintain an erection, whether that was 20 minutes from now or 4 or 5 hours.
Oh, God.
I was pretty sure that...
Because you really wanted to suffer from lockjaw, you know?
Because what I wanted was to contract TMJ. It wasn't that he was coming close to coming and then not. He was not even getting close to hard.
He was just not.
What do you think the problem was?
I'm not sure, and Ruby can comment on this as well. I'm not sure if we're talking... Was Nankini a first-timer?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure if it was the stigma attached to paying.
Yeah.
Or that they hadn't been with somebody in a while, because I know that this particular gentleman hadn't been with anybody in a while.
Maybe.
Or that if he was playing way outside of his sandbox, because this is a much older gentleman with somebody, like, not to toot my own horn or anything, but way out of his league. It could have been it. I mean, I've seen his ex-wife. We're way out of his league.
I mean, this is just obviously highlighting the fact that not all the sugar daddies are going to be necessarily your cup of tea. Anything you do to kind of help yourself to... I guess you did help yourself out. But that didn't help.
Well, in fact, that is standard practice, whether I really dig the guy or not. But in his case, I really had to focus.
Did you manage to get him going in the end? Start the engine?
No, we were at it for a long time. It was probably like 2 hours.
That is so painful. I'm so sorry.
But I gave it a college try, and I said to him, I'm just like, you know what, we're going to see each other again, and we'll work on it. And it's just, first time nervousness.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure he felt that way.
You're definitely seeing him again, or?
I don't think so. But that's his choice.
Right.
Not mine.
So tell us some of your other sugar daddy experiences. How different are they from what you do with the Marquis and your relationship with him?
Nothing is the same as how it is with the Marquis. So that would be like a wrong comparison. But some of them are like a standard date. Or really a standard online date. Like there's a guy that I see and, we'll call him... What do we call the lawyer?
Octocock.
Sugar daddy number 3. Octocock.
He is just a great guy. And we started texting and hit it off immediately as people. He is just awesome. And we've had 2 really fantastic dates. Just really outstanding sex. He's, we text probably every other day or so, or a couple of messages a day. It's like having a friend with benefits.
Right.
He's just cool. He's kind of I'm going to say this and you're going to think it's weird and Ruby's going to totally understand it. He's just a jerk. Like, he's the kind of person I love.
What do you mean? You like jerks, or what's the...
Yeah, she loves them. She loves those snarky, witty, acerbic kind of like get under your skin, be a little bit of a shitster, but you're not a total asshole. She loves those people.
I am one of those people.
You're like the queen of them.
I am their queen.
What would you do if you started developing feelings for one of these sugar daddies? I mean, how would it complicate your life? That would be an awkward conversation. Remember how you used to pay me for this?
Well, I actually feel like that's not uncommon.
Yeah, I don't think that's uncommon either. I think that that's something that happens very frequently between sugar babies and sugar daddies.
And I actually think that that's in the sugar baby like world. I think that's the objective. You're supposed, like, the idea, that's not the whole objective. I mean, the college girls in particular, they don't want these older men to fall in love with them. They just want them to pay for their school and their lifestyle. There are articles written about targeting the right sugar daddy and researching him, going to the places that he goes to, and basically entrapping him until he falls in love with you.
Yeah, that's not something I'm into, I think for obvious reasons, but I could see how it would be appealing.
Really?
I am kind of particularly not looking. I mean, there are a lot of guys, a shocking amount of men writing on this website that they're looking for companionship and that they're open to a relationship. And I'm like, whoa. And I actually had one guy say to me that he thought that we would be doing the world a favor by having babies.
Wow. That one got me to cough up a lung.
I am my age, and I don't look it. So I am as old as I am, and I obviously have superior genes. And we'd be doing the world a favor by having babies. And I wrote him back, I was like, that's an odd place to look for a baby mama.
It is, yeah. That's an interesting aspect, is just people kind of targeting it and making it like a sort of a career almost.
Can't you, like, mail order a bride if that's what you were after?
Yeah.
Like, you could flip through a book and pick one out with superior genes if that's what you're going for.
But you're obviously avoiding these guys who are open to a relationship, right? You're sort of specifically targeting guys that can slot into what you've already got going with Marquis.
Most of them are separate. I mean, I'm not specifically avoiding them, but that does send up a red flag to me. If they had something in their profile, and I read their profiles, I can't stand it when they don't read mine. It drives me crazy. But if they had something in their profile that said something that just really amazed me, if it was really creative and well written, if they loved Doctor Who, if they just had something that I thought was fantastic. They were huge Nickelback fans because nobody loves them but me.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's true.
Whoa. Okay, this whole thing is over.
Everybody's gotta go. I get it. Like, if there was something in there that was just amazing, and it also said they were open to a relationship or whatever, like my red flags are, I wouldn't totally write them off. But there's definitely something in me that says, okay, proceed with caution.
Right. Tell us a few other sugar daddy stories. I mean, when you got started, how did you feel about the whole process? I know you say it's exactly like online dating, but I mean, I'm guessing that the sex is probably different in a way. How would you say it is different to being on a normal date now that you've had both experiences?
Well, my first inclination, like the first time I went out to meet somebody, my inclination was to bring pepper spray. I don't necessarily have that inclination when I'm going on a regular date. Right. The first real kind of experience that I had was a guy offering me a lot of money for a massage.
Yeah, by the way, can I just insert here that favorite person thinks that this is so cool? Like, when I explained to him that you had this experience, he was like, wow, that actually sounds really awesome. Like, I want one of those. I was like, really? You would pay that kind of money for that? He's like, if we had it, hell yeah, I would. I'm like, oh, okay.
What kind of massage are we talking? Is this a sort of a regular massage or massage with, flipping them over and,
Yeah, that.
The happy ending.
Somebody gave him a gift certificate for a massage, like an upscale spa. And he had what I'm going to say is a very enterprising massage therapist. And she got him to buy like a package of, say, 6 massages. And this very smart woman, when he came back, the next time, oh, it's a little hot in here. Do you mind if I take off my shirt? And progressively got more naked, and then gave him the happy ending.
That woman was a genius.
She's really, really, really smart.
I'd just like to say here that I'm not entirely comfortable with the idea of characterizing someone as smart for luring a man into paying for sex through spa treatments. Just saying.
And got him sort of addicted to this whole concept. And this man has like uber wealth. So when I went to his house, like, it's full of like travertine.
For the plebs out there like me who don't know what travertine is, it's a form of limestone. I guess it's fancy.
And frescoes on the walls that are hand-painted, and just a ridiculous amount of money. So I meet him at a very like high-end steakhouse and eat a really ridiculously expensive tasty steak, and decide that he's not the psychopath that I built up in my mind, because his texts were very kind of short and to the point. Nothing particularly friendly about him. He's not really a super friendly guy. He's kind of awkward. And I guess, whatever.
Give me massage now. You rub me nicey time.
It puts the lotion on my skin. Else to get the hose. He's kind of awkward to talk to. Like, he's probably not great with women, and this is the way that he gets his affection.
I know that a lot of people get touch starvation. I'm a really tactile person, and I need a lot of touch. Not necessarily always sexual, but I absolutely love just constant touching, and stroking and all this kind of stuff. So I can completely understand that. I mean, are you a massaging expert though?
I don't have that in my profile. Right. As it turns out, I am really good at it. Let me explain to you. He just wanted like his back and shoulders and you know how hard it is to make like that interesting for 40 minutes?
No,
that's a long time for a small area. Like, I would normally do, like, start at the head, shoulders, arms, back, all the way down to the feet, and then flip you over and do the back up again. Mm-hmm. No, you didn't want that. Just the back. Okay. Like, you're not really getting your money's worth, and you're paying me a lot of money.
So did you sort of give him the happy ending as well, or how did you work around to that? If you're not supposed to touch different parts, like, how did you?
No, I did the back, and then when he was ready, like when he felt like he was ready, he flipped over, and we did the happy ending. But I would have done the whole body, because as it turns out, that happens to be something I'm really good at.
That's cool.
So that actually now is part of my profile, is that I give a kick-ass massage, but it wasn't before that. It wasn't when he picked me out. That was like the first experience that I had. But going into it, I was like, I should probably bring some kind of pepper spray. This guy could be anybody. He could want to peel my skin off and make me into a suit. This could be Buffalo Bill.
Creepy.
Have you
Very
ever
creepy.
felt unsafe?
I like to vet these guys very thoroughly, so we'll email each other back and forth for like a week, even 2 weeks, until I feel like I have a very, very good sense of who they are. Only then, if I like the person and find his photos attractive, will I agree to meet for like a coffee. So not a dinner date, not like we're going to be spending hours together, just more of a very quick meet and greet, like I want to determine whether there's any physical chemistry between us, because if I don't like the guy and I can't picture myself kissing him, then it's just not going to happen. No matter how much money he wants to give me, it's not going to happen. So I've been on a number of those dates. And, Mankini and I met like that. We had like a quick breakfast together one morning. And, he was very sweet. I thought that he was really just an adorable person, very caring. And then that's when we agreed to an arrangement. So afterwards, we email each other and we kind of decide on what the allowance is going to be and what the boundaries are of the relationship. How often will we see each other? What types of activities will we do on our dates together? What is he looking for? What am I willing to offer? That kind of thing. We work all of that out through email, so I have a record of it. And then we pick a day. So it just so happens that the date with Mankini was the first one that, like...
But you've never felt unsafe, is that...
No.
And Madeleine, have you ever sort of pulled out of something because you had warning bells, or... it sounds like you also screen quite heavily.
I actually do. I've only had one experience where I felt unsafe, and I was on my way to it, and I said, no, fuck this, I'm not going. And it was really like the guy sort of cornered me and was like, it was like a really great sales pitch, and it was like now or never, and he like really made me feel like
as if you were obligated.
Well, not just that I had to, but I said, listen, I need to meet you before we do anything, go anywhere really, like before we start an arrangement to even see if I want to have anything to do with you.
Right.
And he said, well, I can meet you for coffee, but I'm not here to go on dates. And I was like, What he was offering was quite good. The way he wanted to execute it was terrible. Right. And the more that I thought about it in the car, the more I was like, why are you doing this? Why are you even in this car right now? This is like, I would never let anyone talk to me, but he was one of these like really highly powered investment banker types, and he was a really good talker. And for a second, I was bamboozled, which doesn't happen very often. Yeah. And I was like, no, stop right now. You're not doing this. I had that moment, but pretty much for the most part, I don't go anywhere I don't want to. If somebody bothers me, if they even say anything the wrong way, I mean, I turn down far more people than I talk to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you get emailed by quite a few people, and there's so few of them that make it through that screening process. It's kind of this like very long process of elimination almost.
It's like, oh, look, he can't spell. Oh, look, he can't follow directions. Oh, look, he's an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, look, I've had to say this about myself 3 times. Bye.
You're not reading. This is in my profile. They're asking me for more pictures. There are 6 of them.
Yeah.
Do I have a picture? You didn't look already?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, do you have saucy pics on your profile? I'm not sure how it works, like in terms of... I mean, the last time I dated anyone was 1997. So,
oh my gosh.
So I mean, I only hear about dating and everything through my friends, and I've been married to the same guy since since I was 18. So I mean, this is all. I'm quite a vanilla person. We were discussing the term vanilla as being a non-pejorative way of saying someone who's not experienced the sort of alternative lifestyle.
Ruby proceeds to give me some examples of her escapades with the sugar daddies, so I can make a comparison to general dating.
So one of the sugar daddies, potential sugar daddies that I met for a coffee and actually thought, no, not for me. And he was one of those people who did have an open relationship with his wife. They'd been married for many, over 30 years or something like that. Very honest, very open, very transparent. And apparently, both he and his wife believe that polyamory is going to be like the wave of the future, to use his term. He told me that Favorite Person and I were extremely evolved because in the future, everyone is going to understand that you can have a committed relationship, whether it's just with a partner or you're actually married or whatever, and you build your life together. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be able to self-actualize. I thought that was a really interesting take on it. I'd never been called a highly evolved person before, which was quite a new but very cool compliment. So I really enjoyed talking to this guy, but unfortunately he was one of those that I just could not imagine being physical with, and that was something he really wanted, and so, we had to go our separate ways. But
so just to put it onto the love theme again, we're talking about evolving our idea of what love is, and also the things that you may learn about love from these different guys. I'm quite interested to find out if you feel like you can learn more about love and being loving from these daddies.
Yeah, well, there's that conversation that I had, which I found pretty fascinating. I keep thinking about it and going back to it. I had thought about before, but I feel like this experience is backing it up for me, is that I think that it's natural in some sense to be emotionally monogamous, to have fidelity emotionally or kind of spiritually, but to be physically monogamous, it doesn't seem very natural to me. And I think that a lot of people, because of the way society is set up, they try so hard and they force themselves into it, and it just fucks everything up because it puts too much pressure on that one person, that one other partner, to be like anything and everything for them. And it just doesn't work. One person can't be everything to you all the time.
Right, I guess unless you have very, very superior communication techniques, or, you just happen to be incredibly compatible sexually.
But even with that, I mean, FP and I have to tell you guys, this is going to sound like, I don't know, like I'm bragging. I'm really not trying to brag, but like I feel like he and I have the best marriage of anyone I know. Like truly. Like we are so loving, we are so honest. I mean, obviously we get on each other's tits every now and then because, that's just life and living with another person. But overall, like he's my best friend, I love him dearly. I'm so attracted to him, like wanting. We've been together for years and years and years, and still he's like my number one, again and again and again, my number one. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to have another experience. Just because that remains true, it's like these things are not mutually exclusive. So maybe, like, I kind of had that thought in my mind, and this kind of journey that I'm going on is validating it.
Right.
So that's what I'm learning so far.
And you think that it's actually enhancing your love?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll tell you why. A couple of reasons. Number one, the fact that he trusts me so much and wants me to be happy, and to a certain extent allows me to do these things. That makes me love him more. The fact that he's willing to put me first as opposed to his own ego makes me love him more.
Right.
So that's a huge thing. That's like kind of number one. Number two is, and maybe this is kind of also an answer to your question about like, well, what are you learning from these various sugar daddies? What I'm learning is how fucking lucky I really am. I mean, like, favorite person is gorgeous, and I've always thought that, but now I really think that after having seen a number of men naked. I'm like, thank you. So,
and what about you, Madeleine? How do you feel like it's changing your idea about love?
I actually absolutely agree with Ruby's assessment that she is one of the best marriages of anybody I've ever met. I absolutely agree with that.
Thank you.
I really do, and I tell people that all the time. I also agree with the assessment that you can be emotionally faithful to one person and not need to be physically faithful to them. And what's become very clear to me is that particularly in my last relationship that ended not that long ago, it's really dependent on the person, but he was a great guy and I loved him so much, and I know that he loved me, but it's become very, very clear, at least to me, that we were not meant for each other, because he absolutely has to have the mind, body, spirit, every single ounce of you, and no departure from that. Mm-hmm. And I don't need that. And so,
well, probably even more than that, you feel it constricting.
Yeah, it is. It is very confining for me. I don't enjoy that kind of relationship. So what I have right now with the Marquis, in a lot of ways, is very freeing, even with him being married, because he doesn't need that much of me. And I have the opportunity to sort of explore new territory. But this whole concept of seeing different men and, finding out what their needs are, that to me allows me to find that part of myself. I'm not really a very nurturing person, so it's a draining exercise.
Do you think it's helping you to sort of, I guess in terms of love yourself more and accept yourself more in a way?
Yeah. You know what? That's such a great question. I really feel that way. Like, when someone says to you, wow, you are so beautiful and you are so interesting to talk to, and I want you so much that I'm going to pay you a fuckload of money just to be around you, like, how could that not be like a way to validate yourself and feel really, really good about yourself,
How do you feel about it, Madeleine?
I think the thing that's happening for me is I have a shit ton of talents. like, I can do so many different things that have never been paid for them appropriately. And I've always struggled monetarily. For most of my life, I've lived by myself other than when I lived with my parents. So it's always been an issue for me of how am I going to pay for all of this? Like, and it's very expensive to live where I live. This is the first month in my adult memory that I've not worried about how my bills were going to get paid. And nobody's had to help me. I've not been living with a boyfriend or my husband or whatever and been relying on his salary. It's just me, and I'm handling it. And that, to me, I mean, forget somebody paying for my time. That's worth all the money in the world. Like, I just smile and just thinking about it.
You can see from what Madeleine says that she and Ruby have very different financial circumstances. So this means the pressure to get more sugar daddies and her ability to truly choose who she wants to spend time with will be very different as well. How much does Madeleine need the money? And what would she be willing to do to get it? Ruby doesn't have to face that sort of difficulty.
Tonight, I'm going out on a date with, like, this my favorite sugar daddy. Like, the one that's, like, this is our first official date together.
Sugar daddy number 4, the Brit.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I'm so excited. He's been away on a trip for 2 weeks. So we came to an arrangement through email, but then he immediately left. So it's been like this, like build up to tonight, and I'm just like, I'm so stoked.
Tell us a little bit quickly why you're so excited about this particular sugar daddy.
He's just awesome. He's kind of like Ewan McGregor meets David Beckham meets John Cleese. You know? It's a weird combo, but in my mind. Yeah, no, his sense of humor. Like, he makes me laugh constantly. He has that really, you know, just like purely like British, very dry sense of humor. Like, he just throws the one-liner in there. Just like, and it just hits me just right, and I will be laughing and laughing and laughing. Oh man, he's amazing. He's amazing. He's just so adventurous. He's traveled everywhere. Like, it's really cool. We've had just such fun chatting with each other and everything. So that's why I'm really stoked.
What are the plans for tonight? I mean, obviously without specifics. Are you just meeting at a hotel or?
No, he is not attached. He was married for quite a few years, for quite a long time actually, most of his life, and then I think 2 or 3 years ago, he and his ex-wife decided to go separate ways, but apparently he's very amicable and they're still friendly with each other, so that's cool. And he relocated to my city where I'm living, so he moved from abroad to here.
No, you're abroad, dumbass.
What?
No, you're abroad.
You're abroad.
abroad. That's true. So anyway, so we're going to go to dinner. And then afterwards, we might kind of walk around town and have a drink. And then we'll go back to his place and see what happens. So I'm really excited.
I hope it goes well. And we'll hear the update on that next week.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining in, Madeleine. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Bye.
Have a good day, ladies.
Bye. Yeah, you too.
too.
Bye.
There's something about value here. Something about the more of yourself you give away, the less it means. That's what a lot of people have said to me about the sugar baby idea. To them, if you're sharing the experience with a lot of others, the intrinsic value of each relationship is diminished. I don't know what the right answer is. I only know what works for me. It's all anyone knows. I like that I'm the only person in my partner's life. But what if one day he told me he needed more than me? What would I do? How would I feel? Could our relationship survive it and even thrive, like Ruby seems to have done? I don't know. Maybe as we go along I can learn more about valuing my husband and his love. I know that Ruby deeply loves FP. To them, these other relationships enhance the love they already have. And just because it looks a little different than mine, doesn't mean it's any less beautiful or true. The music you've heard on this podcast comes from Danny Green's albums Obituaries and Leish, as well as Kristen McClement's album The Wild Grips. You can find out about Laish by going to laishmusic.com. That's LAISHMUSIC.com. And hear more of Kristen's work at kristenmcclement.com. Let us know if you're enjoying the podcast by emailing us on fablegazers@gmail.com. Why not join the conversation on Twitter? We're at @fable_gazers, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. You can help keep the lights on if you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. All names and personal details have been changed to protect the anonymity of those involved. This has been a Fablegazers production.